Good morning, restaurant owners. We are now live on Facebook for our weekly training for independently owned restaurant owners. And the weekly training is on using the accounting and finance to improve your profits and cash flow. Let me get started with this week's topic by sharing my screen. And this week's topic, one of my favorite topics, is how to use the operating budget to improve your restaurant profits. Now, the accounting departments or accountants' main job is generating historical financial reports. Balance sheet, income statement, or any other financial report is always backwards looking. It's looking at what's already been done, what happened last week, last month, last year, which is all well and good. You need to understand what has been happening inside your business. But the operating budget, and I would rather you think of it as an operating plan, a financial plan for your business, is your opportunity to influence how well your business does in terms of profits and cash flow in the future. It's a planning tool to improve profits and cash flow. And today's presentation is going to take you through a high-level practical approach to budgeting that puts you back in control. So why your operating budget is a game changer? It's your financial GPS. A well-crafted budget tells you where your business is heading and how to stay on course, eliminating financial guesswork. This is a key part. The operating budget is your plan for the next 12 months. It's a month-over-month, detailed, forward-looking financial plan. It's also your early warning system. It tells you when your business is getting off the rails and not staying on plan, and allows you to make corrections before those problems are 2 months old, 6 months old, and have eroded your profits and cash flow. It's a performance tracker. You can't fix what you don't track. The budget reveals exactly which areas of your operation need attention and improvement, and which areas of your operation are going according to the way you want your business to turn out. Not how anybody else wants your business to turn out, how you, the owner, want your business to turn out. And it's a team motivator as well. It allows you to get your team involved in understanding what the financial goals are, and you're playing now by a scorecard. Here's what we hope to do, here was the plan, and here's how it actually turned out. So this creates accountability and purpose and keeps everybody on track to achieve the financial goals for the business. Define success based on your restaurant. That's what the operating budget allows you to do. It allows you to define success based on what success means to you. More cash in the bank, higher profit margins, reduced personal stress, and work-life balance. Yes, the budget does allow you to plan and improve your work-life balance. There are all kinds of tools to get your team involved with the operating budget to take work and responsibility off of your desk and delegate it to where it should be amongst your team, so that you're not in the business 16 hours a day. And you need to tailor your budget according to your reality. What's your concept for your restaurant? What are your price points? Your location and your customer demographics. How should your financial statements look according to all those things, and also your core values? Your customer experience standards, your teamwork experience standards, and whether or not you're into local sourcing, what have you, whatever your reality is in your plan for your restaurant, it needs to be incorporated into the financial plan, the operating budget. Define success according to your standards and your ideals. All right, build the budget, analyze the past, plan the future, start with revenue, and then line out prime costs. So here's the step approach to building your budget. You start with reviewing the past 12 months, and you always have to start on the revenue line item. Now, when we work with our restaurant owners, we get them involved in all phases of the budget, but designing the forecast for revenue is something that the restaurant owner has to be involved in and has to take the lead on. Analyze your total revenue by category: food, beer, wine, liquor, non-alcoholic beverage, retail product if you sell them, and identify what's growing, what's flat, and understand why. Review the past 12 months and understand, that's the historical part. That's usually the first step. Understand what's happened last month, last year, and then you start to project out the next 12 months. Set specific revenue goals by category. How can you improve food sales? How can you improve wine sales? Wine is usually a highly profitable item. Plan strategic growth through menu engineering, pricing adjustments, special events, promotions, and targeted advertising. Now, menu engineering and pricing adjustments go hand in hand, and that's a topic for another webinar, another training that we've done in the past and we will do again. That's all built into the budget, and that will kind of make more sense as we get into today's presentation. Focus on your prime costs. That's the next step. So what's your top line item revenue goals? Now, where should your prime costs be? What have they been? What has your food, beer, wine, liquor cost been? What is the cost history? And identify improvement opportunities. We spend several weeks in these weekly live trainings talking about how to improve food costs, how to improve beverage costs, beer, liquor, wine. So that's part of the overall plan and part of what you can do to improve profits and cash flow. That's why it's not just a budget, it's a financial plan. Analyze both back of house and front of house labor expenses and identify efficiencies without sacrificing quality. That's a whole nother topic that we also get into here in our weekly trainings. Budget overhead, understand fixed versus variable cost. So you're starting with top line revenue, you're dropping in your prime costs, what historical percentage they have been at, and how you can improve them. You're dropping in your labor cost. Now we're going to look at the rest of your overhead and understand where are those costs and where should they be in the future. Some costs are fixed. You don't have a lot of influence over the rent agreement that was made 2 years ago and is a 5-year lease. Insurance premiums, you can influence those if you work tightly with your insurance representative. Internet and technology services, equipment leases, some of those things are very fixed and it's a monthly amount. There's nothing you can do to influence that. It's already been determined. Then there's your variable costs, expenses that fluctuate with business volume. Your credit card processing fees, cleaning and kitchen supplies depends on your sales volume, your revenue volume, linen and tableware, utilities, especially water and electricity. You can influence those things, although utilities ever so slightly, but there is the potential to improve those costs, those expenses. Okay, let me go back one tab. And here is where I was going to bring in a sample budget. Let's take a look at what a budget might look like. And now, we don't have time to get into a detailed 12-month, month-over-month budget. So I just want to look at a high level. This is what the annual totals might look like. Let's say you did 1.35 million last year and you're projecting 1.5. You're dropping in then to start with your food cost percentages as you've been experiencing in recent history. That's probably where you're going to be at next month, but maybe the second, third, fourth month, you can improve those costs. Drop in your labor according to where it's at today, and then you start to use some of the tools to improve labor costs to design a better performance. Drop in your direct operating expenses. Now, this is a good example of what your detailed chart of accounts should look like for an independently owned restaurant. This is another training topic that we've gotten into in prior weeks, and we will again, how to set up your accounting system so that you're tracking the right things, tracking the right KPIs, the right metrics in your restaurant. And that's key to setting up your budget as well. So your direct operating expenses, these are the things that you can influence the most in your day-to-day, month-to-month operations: glassware, smallwares, linens, uniforms, so forth and so on. Direct operating expenses, rent and your occupancy costs, and then all other general overhead. I just lump summed an amount there. We don't have time to get into those details today. So that's your starting point. What's the revenue projections? Where have we been in terms of our cost experience, our labor experience, and our direct operating experience? Then let me unhide some lines here. Then you might build in, how can we improve over the course of the next year? And you're looking at this month over month. Where can we improve? Let's say we can bring food from 35 down to 32 by using some of the tools we've learned in how to cut your food costs, as well as beer, wine, liquor. I'll shorten this up a bit. We've made some improvements in the labor costs, and we've made some improvements in some of the overhead costs. Bottom line, we're improving our net profit from 2.68%, which actually looks low, but the average independently owned restaurant earns a minimum or a 5 to 6% bottom line profit or worse. And just by making a few tweaks over the course of a year, these are small incremental improvements, we can improve our bottom line to close to 10%, adding almost $100,000 to the bottom line on a $1.5 million a year restaurant. Then we take the following years and we continue to work the tools and the systems to improve, and we have future targets to continually improve the bottom line and cash flow. These incremental improvements are made on a month-over-month basis. They don't happen automatically. It takes hard work. It takes leadership and involvement from your team, but they are possible. It is possible for you as an independently owned restaurant to earn a minimum bottom line profit of 10% and then start to improve from that point forward. Okay, let's get back to the presentation here. So the real power of the monthly budgeting process is budget versus actual reviews. We start to take our plan, what we thought we could do month over month in terms of revenue and in terms of our cost percentages and overhead percentages. And we look at what actually happened and compare that to budget. That's how you start to analyze the gaps, investigate invariances. Did labor costs exceed projections? Did food costs spike unexpectedly? Are sales below targets? Ask why. Why did this happen? Not just looking at history and saying, okay, that's interesting, that's how we did. Why did it happen? And why are we not on track according to our plan? What changed? And what do we have to do to improve and get back on track to fall in line with where we hope to be? Adapt the plan, adjust your budget, either adjust your operations based on the findings and start to get back on track, or you may determine after a couple months that the budget wasn't realistic. We may be able to cut food costs by 2% and not 3%. And remembering that budget is an ongoing process. It's not a static document. It's not something that you do this time of year in the fourth quarter. You create a budget for 2026, and okay, that's great. And then you don't look at it and use it as the tool that it is. It's a breathing, living plan that changes and adapts month over month when you're looking at those monthly budget versus actual reviews. And sometimes we even break that down to weekly budget versus actual. That's the real power of having the budgeting tool. So your path to financial control. Define your unique success metrics. What does success mean to you and your restaurant, given your criteria, your service standards, your food standards, your neighborhood, so forth and so on. Build a 12-month detailed budget. Review the past, what's happened in the past 12 months, and project out that future month over month based on your goals and your desires to improve your operating results and improve cash flow. Track prime costs and overhead. Monitor the critical numbers that directly impact your bottom line and cash flow. Conduct monthly reviews. Compare actual performance to your budget. Analyze the variances and adapt your plan. More importantly, I need to put in there, adapt your operations accordingly. Make sure that you're implementing all those tools to improve food costs, to improve your labor costs, all things that we cover here in our weekly financial training. So if you're ready to unlock 25 to 100,000 in profit gains, book your profit and cash flow analysis to review your current accounting structure, identify improvement opportunities, and learn how our proven systems can transform your restaurant's financial performance. I'll leave a comment below the video here that gives you a link to my calendar. Book a call. Let's discuss your restaurant's potentials. I love talking to independently owned restaurants. No obligation call. And so next week, we will get into how to control those labor costs without sacrificing service quality so that you can start to fall in line with some of those improvements that you've budgeted. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week. Have a great week.